Small spaces can cause a lot of problems for getting creative lighting. But there are a lot of things you can do to get creative, interesting lighting in a small space. This is my little home office studio that is frankly pretty small. I mean, the ceilings are really short, and if I take a step forward, they're even shorter. But that doesn't mean I can't get nice, creative, interesting lighting in a space like this. So today I want to talk about a few things that you can focus on, a few ideas and concepts that you can take with you in order to get creative lighting in small spaces, especially without big, super expensive lights. Now, the first thing is going to be the type of lights that you have. Big lights with giant softboxes, they're just not going to do it in a small space. And frankly, you don't need them. Right now, I have a few different types of lights. I got a small tungsten hot light, the Lowell Omni, right over here. And that's giving that little background beam of light there. I have a Nanlite Pavo Slim, that is my main key light. And then I also have a regular Cobb style monolight over here, a Godox 150. And then I also have a couple practicals. I have a little light back here that's adding a little bit of cool tones. I have another small little mini LED panel that's giving some warmth here, and a practical lamp. And that's just a regular light bulb on a dimmer switch. I grabbed a freeze frame of that previous kind of talking head, and I thought we'd do a little bit of just a breakdown of where the lights are in space and what exactly it's doing to the frame. Just because me pointing at where I have lights off screen doesn't necessarily give you the best view of where they are and what they're doing. To start, here we have a diagram of kind of just key light, camera, microphone, and me sitting. So that's just pretty much only giving me that main key side light. So if we look at our next light here, we have the Omni just hot tungsten light, and that's not hitting me at all. That's hitting the background. That's actually giving that like warm slash across the practical lamp in there, and just kind of adding a little bit of texture to the background to help kind of add something else to those plain white walls. The next light is going to be our softbox, and that's just giving me a little bit of wrap on that light side, on that key light side, just to kind of help separate me from the background a little bit more. Then we also have our practical lamp in the background. Again, that's kind of motivating a little bit of light. The whole composition has a pretty warm look to it, and that helps kind of ground it in reality. Then after that, we just have our two little panel lights. They're marked down here as these little bulbs. You can see the one just over my left shoulder, and that's giving that kind of cool white blue light to kind of add a little extra color separation in the background there. And then the other light is on the stand that the Godox is on, and that's casting just some extra warm light on the shelves in the background to help kind of pull those out of complete darkness, but still keep with that warm look. So yes, there are a lot of lights in here, and they're all doing different things, but none of them are big, bulky, super expensive lights. Lowell kits are really cheap nowadays because people don't like to use hot lights, and I get why. They're kind of a pain, but they're cheap and they produce a lot of great light. Now with a small space like this, a key thing you're going to want to create is depth. You want to have depth in your image. You want to have three-dimensionality, because that's what turns the flat plane that the camera records into what looks like a 3D image. So what you can do is you can layer lights. I have dark light from that little panel light here, dark on my face, light on my face into this light right here, and then it gets darker on the far side of the screen. That all creates three-dimensionality and gives shape to everything that's in here. Without those layers of light, it's going to look flat and it's going to look boring. I mean, if I had the lighting like this, it looks a lot more boring than it did before. It looks harsh and it doesn't have that warm, inviting feeling to it. It just looks like a bright room. Another cool thing you can do to create interest and intrigue in a small space is to use color temperature. Maybe I want to flip-flop this and I want to be warm and I want my background to be cool. So I will change my key light to be warmer, and I need to make sure my background looks blue. But to do that with a tungsten hot light is a little bit more challenging than it is to do with just a bicolor RGB panel. I need to change the light with a gel. So I can use this gel holder that I have here. The gels just clip into that, and I can change it from being tungsten to being blue. So here's my blue gel. You can see it's pretty blue. If you're going to do this, make sure you get gels that can stand up to the heat. These are Roscoe gels, so they're made for film lights. And I know that they aren't going to start on fire. Don't start a fire in your house. All right, my gel is on, and I'm actually doubling this up so I get extra blue punch through there. It's going to make it a little bit darker. I'll get less light output, but for the example, it'll work better. Okay, now I'm getting a blue streak across there, but my lamp has just a regular light bulb in it. And that's going to be a problem because I can't change the color temperature there. Now, I could wrap it in a gel like I did for my tungsten light. That's kind of going to be a pain in the ass, and I'm going to have to cut up my gels, and I don't really want to do that. So one thing I can do instead is to use a little LED panel like that, stick it in the lamp so you can't see it, and change that to a blue color. So I'll do that right now. All right, now I have this light bulb out of this lamp. I got the RGB panel in there. I changed the other little panel over here so it's more of a cool light to match. And suddenly I'm warm and my background is cool. And we still have that color contrast, although to be honest, it looks a little strange. It looks like I'm in a beam of sunlight in a hospital. So I'm going to switch it back to the way I like it. But maybe you don't go this drastic. Maybe you just have a little accent of blue. In fact, let's try that right now. I'm going to make some quick changes and add a little accent of blue. Okay, now we're back to more of a normal look. But what I did is I turned on this fun little sunlight that I have. Now, it looks like this. It's pretty cheap. You can get them online for like 15, 20 bucks. But they add some interest to it, you know. You can get them in different colors. This one is purple and blue. But now I can use my gelled tungsten light to cast blue onto this area, boost it up a little bit, and it makes sense. It's not conflicting with the lamp over here. I want to make sure I'm included in this lighting scheme around me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that little panel light right over there, and I'm going to cast some blue light onto me. So then it brings me fully into the scene. All right, so now I'm getting a little bit of blue light on me, as if this blue light was also hitting onto me, tying me more into the scene. You want your subject to be in the scene. You don't need to be separated from it. You don't need to be isolated. You want to be a part of this cohesive image. Now, I don't like this little blue spot here. So I'm going to flag it off, and you don't need an expensive flag. I'm just going to use a little magazine. So I still get blue. There's no blue down here, really, maybe a little bit. But the point is, you can shape that light so it includes you, but it doesn't go where you don't want it to go. You need to be controlling the light. That's the biggest thing. The space you're in, the size of it, the size of the lights that you're using aren't going to limit you all that much. It's your ability to shape that light and to make it do what you want it to do. That's going to really accelerate your ability to light different spaces and create really interesting compositions. Now that ability to shape light as you want it goes into where you position these lights. You don't need all these lights to get an interesting composition. I mean, what would happen if we turn everything off but this key light? I don't know, let's find out. Now we have a really dramatic but also very intimate lighting setup. It's as if I'm looking at a computer screen late at night and I'm investigating some crazy happening in my small town. You can build your lighting to fit whatever story that you're telling. And this is just one light, a single light, that's it. And it's casting this really interesting look. Now, if we move this light and let's say we put it above my head, which we can do because it's a thin panel light and it doesn't have a big modifier on it, we can get a scene that looks like this. Now we have this really spooky top light, as if aliens are beaming down from above, or maybe it's a menacing scene and you're not supposed to know who's the character. You just want to have little details about them, like my big fuzzy hair. Regardless of what story you're trying to tell, the way you use the light affects your story, your image, everything around you so much more than the big space, big lights, or expensive things that you have. Let's reset this. This is a little bit over dramatic for what we're talking about. Hopefully that gives you some more tricks that you can use in your lighting, and really kind of illustrates that you can do a lot with one or two lights, and just knowing how to shape that light is the most important thing. Getting the light to do what you have in your head is going to do way more for you than having 5, 6 big expensive lights, but not really knowing how to use them and manipulate them to get an image that you want.